Just make a general statement about the nature of our life here, the nature of the world we live in.
Indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So I guess the elephant in the room is that progress that we're so used to now, that we're used to reading about new technology and new political ideas and new moral ideas, new ways of life all the time. You pick up the newspaper and you're told that something that was very familiar is soon going to disappear, or you're told something that was very familiar is actually wrong and you never knew this before, and so on. This is what our way of life is about nowadays. Rapid change. And although a lot of people are very cynical about it, if you take the longer-term view of decades at a time, this is definitely for the better. Mm-hmm. So we have to call it not just rapid change, but rapid progress. Yeah. And the elephant in the room is that rapid progress, in that sense, in the history of our species, has been exceptionally rare. And our civilization is the first one ever on the planet to sustain rapid progress for more than 2 or 3 generations. So we've sustained it for 2 or 3 centuries.
Is our progress actually accelerating?
The signs are that it is indeed accelerating. If you look at the sort of rate of change, I'm talking about the rate of change of the way of life of everybody, not just things like the volume of scientific literature and so on, which is going up exponentially, but just in terms of the number of things you can list on the fingers of 1 or 2 hands when you say, I can't imagine what life used to be like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, before we had the World Wide Web or before we had Google and so on. Yes, I think we are now used to a lot of things happening fast along those lines, whereas for most of human history, even, say, a century ago, they also thought that progress was happening fast, but it was nothing compared with the speed now.
Right. And likely we're thinking how fast it is now, and likely we literally cannot imagine what it's going to be like in another 10 or 20 years. That's
exactly right. So it's going to be unimaginably different from today. Mm-hmm. And so one of the themes, so I said that was the basic theme of my book, what the difference between what can bring about progress and what cannot bring about progress. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that this tells us is that if there is going to be rapid progress continuing, we cannot predict the future. And that raises some very interesting and important questions about what is the rational way to think about an unknowable future? How can we plan for an unknowable future? And so on. And some of the common sense ideas about what to do in that situation are just wrong, in my opinion. For example, assume that our best technology of today is still going to be there 50 years from now. It's still going to be the best 50 years from now, which is sort of assumed in a lot of planning, is just silly.
Right. It's preposterous.
Indeed. But then the interesting question is, what can we do? Since we don't know the content of future technology, future ideas, even future conceptions of right and wrong, things that we think are things that we thought were fine 50 years ago are considered horrible crimes today. Things like beating children or racial discrimination and so on. Mm-hmm. And that is going to accelerate too. So what can we do? I think the main thing to realize is that the same thing that causes this horizon of predictability is the very thing that is our only possible defense against it, and that is rapid progress. Mm-hmm. We're going to encounter problems that we cannot predict. And the only way to deal with that prospect is to make as much progress as we can as in understanding the world in a fundamental way. Because if you have fundamental theories, then there is a chance that they will be able to cope with unfamiliar situations. If you merely have parochial rules of thumb that work for the moment and in a certain situation, then you're going to be in real trouble when the unexpected arises.
Right.
And we're already doing that. So it's not. I'm not calling for a radical change in the whole of society. I think our society is already like this. It's more that people find it scary when it is actually the reverse.
Well, it's an absolutely unprecedented opportunity.
It is, and we don't. You see, we change things for the better whenever we can see it's for the better. So the unforeseen problems are going to be of the form something or other looked as though it was going to be good, but raised an unforeseen problem. Right. And that's not too bad. A lot of times in the past, people intentionally caused horrible things to happen. That's not what we're doing in our civilization.
Mm-hmm.